The Living Zen-podcast is a gift from the members and associates of the Victoria Zen Centre to you. If you enjoy it, please be sure to let your friends know about Living Zen. If you'd like to support our community, here are a few ways that you can do it. Download the Living Zen podcast app for iPod, iPhone, or Android. You can also purchase additional Zen Talks by Venerable Eshu on iTunes or Amazon.com. One of the most meaningful ways to show your support is by joining our Sangha as an associate. Your commitment of $10 a month will ensure that offerings like the Living Zen podcast and our online e-Zendo will continue to be available around the world to everyone with an interest in truly living Zen. To become an associate, please visit our website at www.zenwest.ca and click on the membership tab. Thank you for your support. Fundamentally, it is the teaching of Tathagata Zen that there are two mutually opposing, simultaneous activities that create the activity that we call the cosmos, or this universe. This activity of arising, which is called birth, the plus activity, and the activity of dissolving, dying, the unification activity. When we come to practice Zen, many of us have engaged throughout our lives in a great deal of awareness of the plus activity, the activity which is arising, differentiation. If we look at a metaphor like waves on the ocean, we, for the most part, most of us, are aware of this activity of the swell, arising. When we look around us, we're encouraged by our culture, by our family, to clearly identify who it is that we think we are and what it is that we're looking at. When I'm looking at a tree, I want to know what kind of a tree. When I'm looking at a person, I want to know what kind of a person. And when somebody asks me about me, I want to be able to clarify who it is that's speaking in some detail. This is the plus activity. More and more in our lives, we're asked to really clarify, to build, to expand this identity, this personality, this thing that we call an I am. And so we spend a lot of time going to school, getting jobs, making money, getting relationships, marriages, maybe several of those, so that we can have a much more clear, much more easy to point to I am, bigger, stronger, more unique, more distinct. And there's nothing wrong with that. The challenge is that this is only half of the equation. And there's this other half that usually we try to avoid as much as possible. And this is the activity of minus, dissolution, death. This is the activity that we experience when things change, where things that have arisen and come to fruition begin to decay and fall apart and transform and return to the origin, the minus activity. It's something that we fear. It's something that we don't want to confront or face. And yet it is half of this whole equation of the cosmos. And so when we find ourselves feeling stretched out, feeling isolated, like a wave that's just grown and grown until we don't recognize our own home anymore, we can come to Zen practice where we turn around. We turn around and face this minus activity. In all of the aspects of form that we engage in, we are encouraged to investigate both of these activities. But just like in our external life, in the world outside, in our relationships and in our work, there is an emphasis on the plus activity, the arising activity, the birth, creation activity. In Zen practice, there is a shift in balance to the investigation of the minus activity. The question that we ask in Zen practice is, where do I come from? Where is my true home? So from the moment that we walk into this practice, we walk into this meditation hall, the balance shifts. And we can acknowledge this shift of balance when we enter into the Zendo and just this activity of bringing our hands together, palm to palm. Plus and minus meet in unification. Left and right meet at zero, and we bow. We enter into practice, practicing the minus activity. Each of us, as we come into the Zendo, carries a bunch of preferences and choices. Things that we like and things that we don't like. Things that we want and things that we want to avoid. And when we come into this communal practice, the practice is to let them go. There is a form here, a form that governs how we interact, how we practice within the confines of the Zendo. There's nothing holy about it. There's nothing right or wrong about it. It's just the form. And our practice isn't even to like that form, but to investigate our relationship with it, to engage in the practice of dissolving into it, and to witness how often throughout practice we arise from unification and how we are able to return home, to dissolve back into the practice that we're engaged in. So we do a number of practices here: chanting, sitting, walking, bowing. And if you practice for long enough, you're going to like all of those activities. And if you practice for long enough, you're going to hate all of those activities too. And if you do them for long enough, at a single practice opportunity, you're going to love and hate all of those activities in turn. And this is okay. This is a part of this practice. Just watching the walking meditation, it's interesting because I can watch the practice that we are engaged in, whether we are able to let go into this activity of becoming one, dissolve into our original home as the activity of walking with everybody in the room, with the room itself, with this whole world manifesting as the activity of walking. And you can see it. You can see it in yourself, and you can see it in those around you. There is this effortlessness in keeping in step, an effortlessness in maintaining a distance which keeps the connection, which keeps this activity unified. And then there are moments where you see a break, where this thing that we call I am stands up and assesses what we're doing, looks at what we're doing, judges what we're doing. Sometimes the feet at this moment fall out of step. We lose our connection. We break the relationship with the people in front of us and the people behind us. And this walking meditation is a powerful teaching because we are able to see how our lives function when we're acting, when we're engaging in a way which affirms this fundamental connection. When we're making relationship with the people in front of us, we are a conduit of harmony. And the people all behind us are able to manifest harmoniously. When we get caught up in our thinking, we lose harmony. We fall out of step. We disconnect from what we're engaged in, this world, the very activity of our life. And when we do this, it has impact on everything that comes after. We see this. We can experience this and become aware of this through the simple activity of walking meditation. In the grand scheme of things, nobody gets hurt if you fall out of step. But what we can see, what we can witness, is a fundamental principle of the activity of this cosmos and the consequences of our moment-to-moment engagement, our moment-to-moment connection and relationship with our origin. The same goes with chanting. The same goes with our sitting. I wanted to just talk about walking tonight. This practice, over and over again, offers us an opportunity to return home. Not to our house, not to this place where we grew up, not to our parents' place, but to our original home, this origin from which all things in this vast cosmos arise and return over and over and over again. This opportunity is happening all the time throughout our lives, in every activity that we engage in every relationship that we make. But for the most part, we are unaware of it. We're ignorant. The practice of Zen is simply to wake up to what's already taking place all around you all the time. So wake up.
Thanks for listening to the Living Zen podcast. If you follow Living Zen through iTunes, I would very much appreciate it if you would take a moment to let me know what you think about it by rating or reviewing the podcast, so that new listeners can also hear what you have to say. Thank you for your time and for your support.